Okay, so in terms of my own self-feedback, self-evaluation for that session, I know, and I knew while I was doing it, that I did not demonstrate using the warm-up and cool-down CV machines, so the upright bike and the Stairmaster, the climb mill. I didn't demonstrate those because in context, my client had already used those machines before. He is not new to the gym, he is not a beginner, and so as a coach in that context, I felt confident that I did not need to show him how to use them, and I also knew that he could get on and off safely without being shown how to do it, and so that's why I chose not to demonstrate those. Although I am aware that that maybe now actually doesn't meet the assessment criteria, I did not believe it was necessary to demonstrate the use of those cardio machines in the warm-up and cool-down. Another thing was that when I was demonstrating the dynamic stretches in particular, I didn't do a completely silent demonstration. I was kind of talking through it, which I appreciate that we want the silent demonstrations so that it's completely clear and so that the client is not kind of trying to focus on what you're saying whilst also trying to watch you. You want to do one thing at a time. So I do realise that, and I would in future make a kind of really conscious effort to not talk while I'm showing exactly what the movement is. I felt that I could have been a little bit more concise with some explanations. There were maybe some things where I kind of fumbled the explanation a little bit. But that being said, I did feel that I spoke very clearly and that the information was delivered in a clear way, that the client was understanding exactly what they needed to do. So I was happy with that. I felt that the session had a good pace in terms of kind of moving through the exercises. I didn't feel like anything was kind of glitching. I didn't feel that there were any speed bumps really. I thought that the order of the exercises I chose quite well so that we built up the intensity as the main component of the workout went on. That being said, I do feel that I could have maybe pushed the client a little bit harder on some of the exercises, but because he was complaining of knee pain that had potentially come from a separate injury, that's why I held back a little bit, especially with the amount of weight we were using and the intensity. I was kind of on the fence as to whether to push him too much, because I just believe that it's always better to err on the side of caution as opposed to potentially being responsible for making an injury worse. Obviously we don't want that. So the only thing I noticed as I was watching the session back was that the plyo box height that I chose for him was probably a bit too high for his skill level. I think in order to get a bit more out of that exercise and that movement, he would have actually benefited from a lower box that was not quite such a large step up for him to take. But other than that, I think everything else was appropriate, and overall, apart from the things I mentioned at the beginning, I was very happy with how the session went. So yeah, thank you.